Hello, good morning to everybody. Nice to meet here. A lot of people, a lot of potential applicants, a lot of people interested in what our program is offering in order to improve the life in our area. I am Bogdan Ușat, Head of Joint Secretariat for Interreg 6A Romania-Bulgaria program, together with my colleagues from Joint Secretariat, from Managing Authority, from InfoPoint in Ruse. I don't know if it's somebody from National Authority. In the name of all our colleagues, I say welcome, and hopefully we will have a fruitful meeting today. On 7th of May this year, we launched the open call dedicated for projects under Priority 3, Uneducated Region, specific objective for 2, improving equal access to inclusive and quality services in education, training, and lifelong learning through developing accessible infrastructure. Having a deadline for submission 9th of September this year, 1 o'clock at the noon. 15 million euro indicative total allocation includes the contribution from national and co-financing and the own contribution of partners, are allocated for projects focusing on education under this call. Why is education important? Well, I think it's obvious for each of us. Education being the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, as a well-known quote is saying. Deep down, each of us knows the impact and importance of education. It isn't just about learning to read, writing, or arithmetic. Instead, the education is about gaining the knowledge and the skills needed to become a better person for creating a better society to live in. The joint actions proposed through our call, joint events, trainings, curricula, facilities, etc., will aim at lowering the discrepancies in the area, and it will facilitate the development of cross-border cooperation between Romania and Bulgaria. I do not want to continue to bother you, and let's start the meeting. First of all, my colleague, Ms. Cezara Tudor, will present you information about project features. Cezara?
Hello, everyone. Today I will present you project features. Just 1 second. Share my screen. Is working? Okay. So let's begin. The Interreg 6A Romania-Bulgaria program has 4 priorities, namely Priority 1, a well-connected region, Priority 2, a greener region, Priority 3, an educated region with specific objective 4.2, improving equal access to inclusive and quality services in education, training, and lifelong learning through developing accessible infrastructure, including by fostering resilience for distance and online education and training. And priority 4, an integrated region. As you can see, the total budget of the Interreg program it's approximately 207 millions. The total budget for the project it's approximately 163 million euro, and the technical assistance is almost 16 million. General information, the opening date for this call was on 7th of May 2024, and the closing date will be on 9th of September 2024 at 1 p.m. For this call 3, an educated region, the specific objective for 4.2 was allocated the sum of 12 million euros RDF, and the total allocation includes the contribution from the national co-financing and own contribution of partners for both countries. It's 15 million. Types of applicants. As you can see, small scale project is when the duration of the project does not exceed 14 months from the start date of the project, and the total financing support from the program is between 150,000 euro and 300,000 euro. And features include both small work infrastructure activities and soft activities without any limitation. For soft operations, when the duration of the project does not exceed 18 months from the starting date of the project, and the total financial support from the program is between 300,000 euro and 750,000 euro. Has work infrastructure equipment component below 15% of the eligible budget, and for hard operation is when the duration of the project does not exceed 24 months from the start date of the project, and total financial support from the program is between 500,000 euro and 1,500,000 euro. And in this case, the project has infrastructures or work equipment component equal more than 50% of the total project eligible budget. Feature of Interreg projects. The project must observe and last the following characteristic: First, has a cross-border character and impact, contribute to the program indicators, integrate as much as possible the core value of the new European Bauhaus, sustainability, aesthetic, and inclusion, promote solutions that are friendly with the environment, promote the equal opportunities, and the partners must cooperate in the development and implementation of the project. The project that does not have a cross-border character and impact and does not observe the cooperation criteria will be rejected. And in case the mandatory cooperation criteria are not met by the partners as set in the guide, the project shall be rejected, and the assessment process shall stop without future analysis. Type of application. When you developing your application, please observe all features described above for each type of operation. It's very important to identify and to submit the application under the corresponding section on GEMS dedicated to the call. This is some examples. For example, if you have a hard project acronym is OPR, and the section will be filed in as follow: OPR hard. The evaluator will check during the assessment process if the type of the project is clearly identified under the project acronym section, and if it complies with the specific features. The project budget must be within the set threshold. And if the final proposed value is exceeding the threshold, the difference should be included in the budget as non-eligible cost or non-refundable funds. Type of applicants. At this section, we have national, regional, and local public bodies, institutions, administration, agencies, including the bodies governed by public law, chambers of commerce and regional development agencies functioning in the eligible area and registered in accordance with the national law, non-governmental organization, offices, branches of public, national, regional authorities, and other public bodies active on the themes of the priority in the program area. Type of applicants. In order to be eligible, the following criteria must be fulfilled. Be a Romanian or Bulgarian entity, legally established according to the national and legislation of the state and territory they are located, prove their competence in the field of the activities, have the headquarters in the eligible cross-border region, are Romanian or Bulgarian national public authorities. In case of infrastructure and such, the applicant should be the owners of the given territory building subject of that investment activities. For Bulgarian partners, in case of infrastructure, the investment activities should be carried out on public property, both public and private domain of the state or municipality. And for both type of project, small scale or regular project, soft and hard type of operation, the partnership should include the project partners or associated project partners legally responsible for the field of interventions addressed by the project and who will be the user of the project outputs. Type of applicants, you must consider also that applicants outside the program area but from Romania and Bulgaria can also participate in project, but only in exceptional cases, namely if they are competent in their scope or action for a certain part of the eligible area, like ministers, national agency, research institutes, carry out activities that are beneficial for the program area. Their participation must bring clear add value and expertise to the implementation of the project and has to be beneficial from the program area, and they cannot take the lead partner role. The size of the partnership. The partnership must observe the minimum requirements, maximum 5 partners, at least one of the partners from each member state participating in the program, Romania or Bulgaria. The size of partnership should reflect the scope of the project, and the role of each partner should be clearly clear, justified. Type of actions. For this specific objective, 4.2, improving equal access to inclusive and quality services in education, training, and lifelong learning through developing accessible infrastructure, including by fostering resilience for distance and online education and trainings. Type of actions related to the development of the education, training, and lifelong learning process. Compulsory. The applicant has among its attribution, according with its state national legislation, the implementation of the proposed activity or that the applicant has agreement with the relevant institution to implement such activities according with its state or the national legislation. And for Bulgarian partners, the investment activity should be carried out on public property, which include the public and the private property of the state or municipality. Type of actions, development of extensive and structured language learning schemes as a vector for building trust across the border, for creating the basis for future exchange and also an employment boosting factor. Developing of joint cross-border education and training schemes on site in area where accessibility is not hindrance or online, using digitized learning tools and methods. Developing of cross-border internship for placement and student exchange programs for young graduate students. Development of joint initiative supporting adult education and learning, and development of partnership between secondary and higher education establishment and business in order to improve the market orientation and the quality aspect of education and offer young students the possibility to train and or study on the other side of the border. Type of actions, as you can see, development of partnership between education and training institution and stakeholders at all education levels to support mutual language learning and exchange of practices between teacher and trainers on both sides of the border. Development of joint initiative and action to support access to quality inclusive education and training. Joint measure for improving the link between the labor market and the education and training system. Investment in the infrastructure of educational facilities, and the investment in ensuring proper environment for joint learning facilities with focus on digitalization. Location of action. Location of action, the projects must be implemented in the program area. The applicants are asked to demonstrate that those activities have a cross-border impact on the program area and contribute to the objective of the program. By exception, activities outside the program area can be implemented in duly justified cases. In such cases, the following requirements must be observed. They are for the benefit of the program area, they are essential for the implementation of the project, and they are explicitly foreseen in the application form. Activity related to investment should be implemented exclusively in the program area, and the purchase equipment must be located, installed and used in the eligible area of the program. The cost related to such activity shall be considered as ineligible and shall be excluded from funding under the program. For Bulgarian applicants, in case of infrastructure and works, the investment activities should be carried out on the public property, both public and private domain of the state or municipality, if the case. This is image from the project logic intervention. As you can be seen, the needs of the project must be connected with those of the Interreg program as follows. The need of the challenge addressed by the project, the territorial need and the challenge identified by the program, for example. Let's start. Important needs, project general objective, project relevance and context. Why cross-border cooperation is needed to achieve project objective and results? How do the project consider the result of other projects, synergy contribution to other strategy and policies, ensuring the durability and the transferability of the outputs and results. Create a work package. This is the building block of the project to three or work package. Work package is defined as a group of related project activities required to produce project main outputs. So specific objective is equal work package, and each work package should have a distinct project specific objective. For example, project specific objectives should not be repeated in other work packages. Define a specific objective that will be achieved when all activities in the work package are implemented and outputs delivered. Describe the communication objective and target audience. Investment, list of the investment that will be delivered with the work package. Recommendation, investment should be grouped by their specificity. Add elements related to justification, relevance, target group, location, risk, and information on its environmental sustainability and risk. Activities, describe the activity by which the project achieves the specific objective and the related communication objective. The activity should contribute to the development of plan outputs. Usually no more than 4 to 6 activities per work package should be foreseen. Each working package includes specific communication objective and activities. As such, each project is required to set out the envisaged approach to communication and visibility of the work package. Project partners' involvement in each activity should also be described. Add the deliverables and for each activity, which are side products or the quantified outcome of an activity. Outputs, describe the outputs that will be delivered during the project implementation. Outputs are the main achievement of a set of the project activity, different from deliverables, correlated with program outputs, the indicators and their measurement unit. And the last one, results. Select the program result indicators, and you will contribute to what to do, expect to change following the activities to plan to implement, and the outputs who plan to deliver. You must select only result indicators which are linked in the selected output indicators. project outputs, results, and program indicators. The program results are measured by indicators for each specific objective. Output and results indicators were set. The indicators target is given by the project outputs and results targets cumulated. So program indicator for specific objective 4.2. Each indicator has a measurement tool and a target. For example, the output indicator participation in joint training schemes, measurement unit participation target for 2024 0, and the target for 2029 2,600. And the same as for the rest of the indicators. Please consider set realistic targets. When setting the target indicator, consider the data available for you have to justify the data sources. The indicator must reflect the project activities. The indicator reflects the joint outputs results. The output indicator must be reported at the end of the project competition. All the outputs must be completed by the end of the project implementation period and not during the sustainability period. The result indicator shall be reported within 6 months or 1 year from the date of the project completion. Tips for each project must contribute to the output and result indicators corresponding to the specific objective under which the project is submitted. The pairing of the indicators must be observed, and for each specific objective, specific rules regarding the mandatory pairs of the indicators. Check the definition of the reporting details, including in the applicant's guide. This is the annexes documents mandatory for all application, Annex A1, A2, A3. Annexes depending on the project type, documents mandatory for application. It's important to have electronic signature. Frequent errors, activity without an output indicator, for example, participation in the joint training schemes, or no activities for proving the cross-border character of the project proposal. Included the activities are not corresponding to the specific objective, or not taking consideration the no-boss initiative. Proposing activities for which the partners are not entitled to take action in a respective field. Contribution to the program indicators is overestimated or not justified at the project level. And future plans. 6th of June, we have a webinar dedicated to the GEMS electronic system and Q&A. 11th of June, physically organized the event in Silistra dedicated to the presentation of the eligibility condition to application and the partner search section. 9th of June, physical event organized at Drobeta Turnul Severin dedicated to presentation of the eligibility condition, the application and partner search section. Stay tuned, more to come on the program Facebook and website. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Cezara. I saw that our colleague Octavian raised the hand. Octavian, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you for organizing the event and for the invitation. I would just like to complement a little bit what was said earlier about the frequent errors and difficulties in preparing the application form. And what I'm telling now, it's coming from our previous experience with assessing other projects. And I would like to particularly emphasize on the need to prepare very relevant projects. And when I speak about relevant, I speak about projects which refer to real needs which exist in the territory. When we discuss about needs, we have to demonstrate that those needs exist and that they are explained in the application form and quantified. I mean, it's not sufficient just to put there a general phrase on the need. What we'd like to see in the application form is to have a clear explanation of the need, and to the extent possible to quantify it with figures, with explanations, with statistics from publicly available sources, like indicated a little bit earlier. The other issue is that we have to demonstrate in the application form the link between the needs, the objectives in the project, activities, outputs, and results. I mean, there has to be a clear logic of intervention in the project. And unfortunately, we have seen projects which do not really prove this logic of intervention. This should be very clearly stated and explained. And please do not underestimate the need to explain the logic of intervention. Believe me, it's very easy to see if a project was written on a clear and good logic of intervention, or whether the project was written just to get financing. I mean, we don't want to have projects just for justifying the purchase of goods. We want to see projects that are based on a real need and that answer a real need of the people in the territory, which produce at the end an impact related to people living in the cross-border region. Of course, it's difficult to justify the cross-border impact, but I'm convinced that you can find those activities which involve people from both sides, or which create an impact for people on both sides of the border. That's what I'm telling you now. Those 2 points. So on relevance, please explain the need, quantify the need, and also demonstrate the logic of intervention, the link between needs, objectives, activities, and outputs. This is essential for any kind of project. Thank you.
Thank you, Octavian, for your supplementary information. In the chat, we received a message from Mrs. Svetlana Harizanova saying that private schools and public schools in both countries do not have equal rights for construction and repair of premises in their buildings. Is this not inequality? Is this a question, Mrs. Harizanova? Or is just a...
Yes, this is the question.
Is the question. Our program is... sorry?
Why? I'm asking why. This is private school do not right to make construction. In Bulgaria only, yes.
Well, sorry, I raised my hand before. Maybe Bogdan didn't see it, because I wanted to complement something on what Octavian said. But before this, I would like to say that this was regarding probably you are mentioning the fact that in the applicant guide it is mentioned that the investment in Bulgaria are allowed only for public property. And I will just say that this was the decision of the national Bulgarian institutions which are participating in the project, in the program, sorry, and there is no, we don't have something to comment on that. But going back a little bit on what Octavian said, because I would like to underline again the importance of the intervention logic, and just say that because I see this question as this one is mentioned here about construction and repairs, and I also saw in help desk everybody's asking about buildings and so on, but just take a step back and look at the objective of this call, which is not mainly, I mean, the final goal is not constructing some building and just having it done. The main objective is to improve equal access to inclusive and quality service in education, training, lifelong learning, and so on. So please focus on that and construct your project in order to reach those goals, not simply say we will finalize the construction and this is our goal and this is how we are building our project. So this is the main need that the program has identified, and you should also, I don't know, construct your project on these needs. Of course, transported in your, at the level of your project. Thank you. This is what I wanted to mention.
Thank you, Christy. I'm sorry for earlier. Another question from Mr. Veliko Dimitrov. If the slideshow presentation to be available for download. Yes, after the meeting, after all the events will be finished, the presentation will be available on the website. Octavian?
Yeah, thank you. Just maybe it may help in the discussion to remind that this call is not designed to help, let's say, private companies. I mean, there is no state aid scheme in this call. So that's why the beneficiaries for this call have to be somehow public. I mean, whether public institutions or NGOs or anyhow non-profit organizations. So and indeed, this is the decision of Bulgarian colleagues to have investment on public property, which it's justified by the fact that all investments from the program have to serve somehow the public, and we try to make this separation from any risk of state aid or helping in other way private companies, which of course we have to address through other schemes. And there will be inside the program a dedicated scheme for companies, but that's under another objective. It has nothing to do with the current call. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, one of the main rule of our program is that applicants not be profit parties. I see another question from Eliza. Is a state forest enterprise whose headquarters is outside the eligible area, but has territorial division located in the eligible area. An eligible applicant and possible for the division to take the lead partner role.
Well, maybe it would be better to have a discussion in this regard, because the information is scarce and we cannot answer. I don't see the competencies in the field or for the education. I don't know, it's not clear now. Just, I don't know if we can answer this on
The eligibility
this
of the
moment.
applicants, the eligibility of the applicants is to be analyzed during the assessment process based on all the legal documents that should be submitted together with the application form, in order to see if you are taking apart from those eligible applicants, which are included in the applicant's guide. Maybe, Cesare, you can put the slide from your presentation again, just to see it, with the eligibility of the applicants outside the eligible area. But just to mention that here we can answer with yes or no. This should be analyzed during the assessment process.
Yes, Slavena, basically, if they are from outside the program area, they should be competent in their scope of action. They should carry out activities that are beneficial for the program area. Their participation must bring a clear added value or expertise to the implementation of the project, and they cannot take the role of a lead beneficiary. If it's not a legal, then the question is if they can take if the division, a branch probably or something, can take the role of lead beneficiary, but it is mentioned that they are not a legal body. So if they are not a legal body, they cannot take the role of a partner or of lead beneficiary, as they are not subject of law who can sign a contract. So they cannot take such a role in the program if they are not a legal body. But the main enterprise, if it observes the other conditions which are set in the applicant's guide, and they are, even if they are from outside the eligible area, they can participate, but they cannot be a lead partner.
So Elisa, do you have another question? It's clear? Okay. Cesara, you may stop the sharing the screen. Next on our agenda is the issue related to financial aspect. Mr. Dimitrov, the presentations will be uploaded on the website. I will share the link where this will be uploaded in the next days. Coming back to our presentations, our colleague Ms. Valentina Radu will present us information about financial issues. Valentina, please.
Hello. I am, as Bogdan said, my name is Valentina Radu. And today I will present you the financial issues related to the project that will be submitted within the call 3, priority 3, an educated region, finance within the Interreg 60 Romania-Bulgaria program. So let's start. Mhm. Great. As a general information, the eligibility of the expenditure starts with 1st of January 2021. There are six types of costs, namely costs related to the project preparation. These costs are based on lump sum or real costs. The amount that will be reimbursed is of 14,000 euro. This amount can be split between partners. Also, the staff costs, these are flat rates and will be reimbursed up to 20% from the real cost, namely external expertise and services, equipment, and infrastructure and work. The costs related to the travel and accommodation are also flat rates and will be reimbursed up to 15% from staff costs. And also the office and administrative costs are flat rates and are reimbursed based on the same consideration as the travel and accommodation flat costs, namely up to 15% from staff costs. Project closure are also lump sum. The amount that will be reimbursed is of 6,500 euro. Also, this amount can be split between partners. And the real costs, these are external expertise and services costs, equipment, and costs for infrastructure and work. Please have in mind that all the real costs have to justify based on two offers or an independent evaluation of the prices. In case you do not meet these two offers or an independent evaluation in the assessment process of your project, then the respective amount may be reduced or deducted from the budget according to the assessor's professional judgment. But in case the cost estimation is made on the data provided by a feasibility study or an equivalent document, there is no need to provide these two offers or an independent evaluation for the items that are covered by a feasibility study or the equivalent document. The budget of the call. The budget for the call 3 specific objectives 4.2 is of 15 million euro and the ERTF allocation is of 12 million euro. Here are some examples of eligible expenditures. For external expertise and services, these are studies or surveys, for example, evaluation strategies, concept notes, design plans, handbooks, also training, translations, development, modifications, and updates to IT systems and websites, but strictly related to the project. For the equipment, these eligible expenditures can be office equipment, IT hardware and software, furniture and fittings, laboratory equipment. For infrastructure and work, you can purchase the land, but for an amount that not exceeds 10% of the total eligible expenditures for the operation concerned. Also, for the derelict sites and for those formerly in industrial use, which comprise buildings, the limitation will be to 15%. Other examples of eligible expenditures are building permits, building material, labor, or specialized interventions such as soil remediation or mine clearing. Here are some examples of non-eligible expenditures. These are fines, financial penalties, and expenditure on legal disputes and litigation, cost of risk, interest on debt, the value-added tax, but with two exceptions. For operations, the total cost of which is below 5 million euro, including VAT, and for operations, the total cost of which is at least 5 million euro, including VAT, but where it is not recoverable under the national VAT legislation. And as I said above, if you exceed the amount of 10% of the total eligible expenditure for the operation concerned in purchasing of the land, or if you exceed the limitation of 15% for the derelict sites and for those formerly in industrial use, which comprise buildings. The financial sources. The ERDF co-financing rate is of 80%. The rest of 20%, it is split between the national co-financing ensured by the Romanian and Bulgarian state budget of 18% and also the partner own contribution of 2%. Here you can see how you can create your budget. Here are the flat rates. And I use this opportunity to remind you that the staff cost flat rates are reimbursed up to 20% of the real cost, and the office and administrative costs and travel and accommodation costs are reimbursed up to 15% of staff costs. Here, as you can see in this example, if you choose even the value of €1 for the real cost, external expertise and services, equipment, and infrastructure and work, the system will automatically calculate the flat rate. And the co-financing is comprised of ERDF co-financing, which it is of 80%, and also the national co-financing of 20%, which it is comprised of the national co-financing ensured by the national budget of Romania and Bulgaria in percentage of 18%, and the partner contribution of 2%. Here are the lump sum. As I said above, the lump sum for project preparation will be reimbursed up to of 14,000 euro, and as you can see here, the amount can be split between the partners. On the same consideration, the lump sum for project closure in amount of 6,500 euro, as the same as the project preparation, the amount can be split between the partners. And here are some frequent errors that we have identified in the past assessment process, namely training costs on the wrong budgetary line. The average of 2 offers does not correspond to the amount foreseen in the budget. The foreseen budget was not well justified, and the most frequent amount foreseen for external consultancy services does not respect the applicant's guide provisions. And these provisions are: external expertise and services costs shall not duplicate costs already budgeted under staff costs or the task of project management team. Also, in case project management is externalized, the flat rate option for staff costs shall be accordingly diminished. But please have in mind that only external expertise and services for very technical or specific documents or contribution for the project implementation is allowed. In the end, the reference documents that are the base for elaboration of this presentation are Annex B, list of eligible expenditures, and Annex C, methodologies for using lump sum for project preparation and project closure within the Interreg 6A Romania-Bulgaria program. All these documents can be accessed on the program website at the following link. Thank you for your attention.
Valentina, thank you. Are there questions? Is there a question from Mrs. Raluca Voina? Must the courses delivered to the target group be accredited by national legislation? Mrs. Voina? I don't see you.
Hello, I'm here, and I ask this question because I'm interesting. I'm sorry for my English. I hope to understand what I said and what I ask.
Yes.
And I'm
We
waiting
can-
for your answer, if it is
We
possible.
can understand you. We can. Don't bother about your English. It's okay. Christy, can you help me, please?
Yes, sure. There is no such requirement in the guide for
Just to,
accredited.
sorry.
Sorry.
Just to mention that within the applicant's guide, on page 76, you have the link to the methodological description of the Interact 6A indicators related to the specific objective 4.2. So please consult this because there you can find all the information how the indicator should be reported and what should have been, how the program exactly understands this indicator. It's very important, this document.
Yes, because one of the indicators is related with the participants in the joint training schemes and how they are calculated. I mean, you should design from the beginning to know how many hours of training each participant should perform, and because this indicator will measure those participants who are completing at least 60% of the number of hours of training. And of course, you should go to the also to the result indicator, which is completion of the joint training schemes, and there you have the participants who actually perform all the training and receive this certificate of completion, but it's not an accredited or something certificate. Of course, the trainers and the training should follow quality, should have the quality, I mean, observe the quality provision of the program and also legislation if it's like this, but not an accredited certificate should be issued at the end.
We have raised hand. Diana, please.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Of course, I would like to thank all of you for organizing this webinar workshop. I have a question concerning the staff costs. As far as I remember, it was mentioned that staff costs are calculated based on 20% of real costs. How do you define real costs? Are they different for Romania and Bulgaria? And if we apply, how do we prove what our real costs are? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Valentina, could you please share the presentation again with the real costs? So in this call, we have three basically budget lines with the real cost. Those are the equipment, the services, and the investment, those three. So this is the real cost. The staff cost could be up to 20% as flat rate from this real costs. They are not divided between the Romanian or Bulgarian beneficiaries. It's up to the beneficiary. So based on the amount from the direct cost and based on the percent that is selected from the staff cost, it may be 20%, it could be 10, it depends of the beneficiary. Those are calculated automatically by the system. Just to pay attention here that we have also travel and accommodation and office and administrative costs, which are also based on the flat rate, but those two lines are actually percent from the staff costs. The system could not calculate all the percentages from staff from flat rates based on the real cost. So the Interact who has elaborated this system has decided the staff cost to be actually percent from the real cost, and after that to make travel and office administrative costs to be percent from the staff. I'm not sure that I was very clear, but
Just to add, Slavena, that for the proof of the real cost, you have to submit offers, independent evaluation of the costs, or for the infrastructure to submit technical documents such as feasibility studies or technical projects and so on.
Okay, thank you. I think it's clearer now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, we have communication issues. Communication being identified as a very important aspect of developing, of implementation the project. Here we are with information about communication. Maria, our colleague Maria Savu will present this. Maria, please.
Hello everyone. Today I propose to present you. Sorry, one second. Hello everyone. Today I propose to present you aspects related to the process of communication with the phase of implementing a project. So let's start from the need that is established, namely why it is necessary to carry out these communication activities. First of all, the co-finance project must promote the support received from the ARDF in all the activities developed. Thus, communication activities are an essential part of this type of project. More than that, each project must establish its approach in the context of communication and visibility. As general aspects, the first thing you have to consider is setting a clear objective for each work package and the target audience. Moreover, when you upload your application on GEMS platform, you will notice that section 7 from project management includes general information about communication process, such as appointment of communication officer, or how you will ensure the quality of the project, or the approach you will follow to communicate information about the project. As general rules, the promotional materials are usually small and inexpensive. They must be informative, clear, attractive, and sustainable. Limited promotional items such as pens and pencils, school bags, USB sticks are allowed within the program. The novelty both in this sense is that the partners can choose 3 other such articles. This also depends on the specifics of your project. Also, all promotional items must respect the ecological principle and the quantity produced must be reasonable and justified. As you know, the production cost of a single promotional item must not exceed 50 euros. Another new element is that you, as beneficiaries, must demonstrate that you have planted at least 5 trees if you have implementing an investment project, or at least 2 trees for implementation of a soft project. They can be planted in public places or near your premises. Just make sure that you have chosen local species and that you can take care of them in the future. The communication starter kit provides the following. The appointment of communication officer, this being the person responsible for managing the communication activities carried out within your project. After developing a communication plan by establishing objectives and communication activities, the target audience, and the activities budget. Mandatory activities in the communication process. A joint launch conference and a joint closing event. A project page on any social media network you want. At least 2 press articles. For investment projects, relevant photos must be taken before and after the completion. A short video clip and the promotion of important moments in the life cycle of the project and the campaign to promote the results of the project on social media. In the context of communication, the program logo must be used in all communication materials, project objectives and results, and must be displayed at events. More information about logos and special rules regarding their use are included in the visual identity manual of the program. About the website, the program does not consider it necessary to create a new website to promote your project. Instead, you can use the existing website of your institution by creating a special section dedicated to your project in which to include a brief description of it, its objectives and results, and where you can highlight the financial support offered from the AFDF according to Article 36, Paragraph 4 of the European Regulation number 159 per 2021. In relation to social media, you can create and maintain a project page on various social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Within you can post announcements and the events and achievement of the project, photos and video clips. Also, when you post on social media, we encourage you to check the program's social media accounts as well, using hashtags such as #OBG or #Interact. From the experience gained over the years, we have come to the conclusion that the most used social media platforms in Romania and Bulgaria are Facebook and Twitter. About the videos, they must be short and to the point. Just make sure to create videos that illustrate people and situations in the most realistic, spontaneous, natural way possible. You can take interviews into account, or you can use the stories to show how a great making situation in the region was improved through your project. Mandatory disability provision. Article 36, paragraph 4.c of the European Union Regulation number 159 of 2021 mentions the fact that for an investment project whose total budget exceeds 100,000 euro and the process of implementation of purchase of equipment has begun, a placard advertising panel must be mounted in a way that it is as visible as possible. All the information about the billboards should look as well as what are the mandatory requirements regarding their installation are included in the MIV of the program. About publication, on all documents and communication materials related to the implementation of a project, the support received from the ARDF must be emphasized in the most visible way, indicating the value of the support offered, the purpose, and the results of the project. Electronic publications and newsletters are preferable because they are more effective than paper publications in terms of reaching the audience and are in accordance with our environment-friendly policy. Short, clear, and on-topic publications are also recommended. The content, frequency, and format of the publication must correspond to the chosen target group. However, if you want to print the publication, you should do so only if it's strictly necessary and if a well-prepared dissemination plan is followed, such as printing on both sides and on recycled paper. Regarding the events, organize a kick-off event within 2 months from the start of the project implementation. Plan events that will attract as large as an audience as possible, as well as media interests such as, for example, conference, seminars, exhibitions, competitions. More than that, when you organize your events, we encourage you to break out of the mold and be as creative as possible. Consider participating in joint events with other thematically relevant projects and participating in other external events to promote your project. An extremely important aspect is that non-compliance with these promotion requirements can lead to a series of negative effects, including the cancellation up to 2% of the ARDF support from the beneficiary in question. According to Article 36, Paragraph 6 of the European Union Regulation number 159 of 2021. Finally, the reference documents for the communication process are the communication starter kit, the MIV of the program. You can access all the documents of the program on the program website at the link displayed on the screen. Thank you for your attention and I wish you success.
Thank you, Maria. Are there any questions regarding this presentation? If not, we will go to the next presentation and I will ask our colleague, Claudia, to present some issues about climate proofing.
Hello, my name is Claudia Roșca and today I will present you the climate proofing. Just a moment. You can see my screen? It's okay. Okay. First, why we are requesting the climate proofing? We are requesting it because the Interreg regulation on selection of projects foresee in Article 22 that in selecting operations, the monitoring committee or where applicable, the steering committee shall ensure that for investment in infrastructure with an expected lifespan of at least 5 years, an assessment of expected impacts of climate change is carried out. This assessment only addressed the climate adaptation, the resilience of infrastructures investments. Also, we have the Commission notice, technical guidance on climate proofing of infrastructure in the period 2021-2026. Within this document, you can find definitions and terms which will help you when you will prepare the documents related to climate proofing. Also, the applicant's guide has provisions related to climate proofing. Within the applicant guide, it is written that project partners for investment in infrastructure must provide the documentation of climate proofing, which shall have maximum 30 pages. Has an open format. In case these documents, namely the documentation of climate proofing, statement on climate proofing, are not provided within the application, the project shall be rejected during the eligibility stage. Please note that the document shall be analyzed and assessed based on the evaluation criteria. Here we have a print screen from GEMS with the section C41 with the work plan, where you should introduce the information, the general information related to investment documentation and the assessment of the expected impacts of climate change. Climate proofing is a process to prevent infrastructure from being vulnerable to the potential long-term effects of climate change, while ensuring compliance with the energy efficiency first principle and ensuring that the level of greenhouse gas emissions from the project is compatible with the 2050 climate neutrality objective. Here you have some definitions which you can also find within the applicant guide. The climate proofing process. The climate proofing process is a documentation comprising two pillars, namely mitigation and adaptation. And each of the two pillars comprises two steps, examination and detailed analysis. The project partners must include in the project preparation team the expertise required for climate proofing and ensure coordination with other works in the project development process. For example, pre-feasibility, feasibility studies. The immunization process should be included at each stage of a project, from strategy, planning, project preparation, strategy to procurement, and decommissioning. When applying for support under specific instruments, the project promoter prepares plans and documents the climate proofing process covering mitigation and adaptation, which includes assessing and specifying the project context, selecting the assessment methodology, identifying who should be involved and allocating resources, compiling key reference documents such as the applicable national energy and climate plan and relevant adaptation strategies and plans, ensuring compliance with applicable legislation, rules, and regulations. Here we have the two pillars. The climate neutrality. mitigation of climate change and climate resilience, adaptation to climate change. The climate resilience starts with preparation, planning, resources, and has two phases. The screening phase, phase one, and the phase two, detailed analysis. First, you will proceed with screening, and if you identify if you don't identify potentially significant climate risks, you will stop here and you will provide climate resilience screening documentation. And if you identify potentially significant climate risks, you will proceed to phase two, namely to the detailed analysis. And you will provide climate resilience proofing documentation. Climate resilience proofing aims to ensure an adequate level of resilience of the infrastructure to the impacts of climate change over its lifetime, which includes acute events such as more intense floods, droughts, heat waves, wildfires, storms, and chronic events such as projected sea level rise and changes in average precipitations. The climate resilience proofing assessment will be carried out for various climate hazards arising from climate change. It is among the initial task of the project applicant and the expert team to decide on the climate projection data set to be used for the climate vulnerability and risk assessment, and this should be documented. The climate vulnerability and risk assessment helps identifying the significant climate risks for the project. It is the basis for identifying, appraising, and implementing targeted adaptation measures, which will help reduce the residual risk to an acceptable level. The time scale for the climate vulnerability and risk assessment should correspond to the intended lifespan of the investment being financed under the project. The lifespan is often longer than the reference period used in the cost-benefit analysis, for example. Please, at the same time, it should be ensured that the project is aligned with the European Union and, as applicable, national, regional, and local adaptation strategies and plans. Phase one, screening. The partners must carry out the climate vulnerability analysis to identify potential significant climate vulnerabilities in relation to the type of project and the project's location. This screening phase includes 3 steps: sensitivity, exposure, and vulnerability. The analysis should be carried out combining the sensitivity of the type of infrastructure to climate risk and the exposure of the infrastructure area to these risks. If there are no significant climate vulnerabilities justifying further analysis, the documentation shall be complied and analysis presented in a declaration of climate resilience examination, which in principle provides a conclusion on climate resilience. If there are significant climate vulnerabilities justifying further analysis, proceed to phase two, namely to the detailed analysis. Here is presented the vulnerability analysis, phase one. Sensitivity analysis has as purpose to identify the climate risks that are relevant to the type of project, regardless of its location. For example, level rise is likely to be a significant hazard for most seaport projects, irrespective of their location. Sensitivity is defined as the sensitivity analysis based on knowledge of all the elements according to which the infrastructure will be built and operated. All project components and interdependencies should be included in the assessments. The sensitivity does not take into account the location of the construction. It is purely based on the project-specific factors, irrespective of the location. Here you can see the sensitivity analysis. The sensitivity can be high, average, or low. Exposure analysis has as purpose to identify the risks that are relevant to the location of the project or the site, regardless of the type of investment. For example, flooding could be a significant climate hazard for a location next to a river in a floodplain. The exposure includes two parts, the current climate and the future climate. The location of the project, which is often decided at an early stage, can be decisive for assessing vulnerability to climate change and risks. Different geographical locations can be exposed to different climate hazards. It is useful to understand how the exposure on different geographic areas in Europe will change as a result of changing climate hazards, as illustrated in the list below. You should have more specific data, which you can find at National Meteorological Agency. The vulnerability analysis. The purpose of the vulnerability analysis is to identify potential significant risks, climate vulnerabilities, and is achieved by combining the sensitivity and the exposure degree, which determines the level of vulnerability, being low, medium, or high. The vulnerability assessment aims at identifying potential significant hazards and related risks and forms the basis for the decision to proceed with the detailed analysis, namely to phase 2. Typically, it unveils the most relevant hazards for the risk assessment. This can be considered as the vulnerabilities ranked as high and possibly medium, depending on the scale. However, the decision on vulnerabilities to proceed to a detailed risk analysis will depend on the justified assessment of the process of the project beneficiary. Screening phase 2, the detailed analysis of adaptation to climate change, carrying out analysis of probability, likelihood, impact, risk assessment, and proposing adaptation measures. Addressing significant climate risk by identifying, assessing, planning, and implementing relevant and appropriate measures. Assessing the scope and the need for regular monitoring and follow-up, verification of consistency with European Union strategies and plans, such as Paris Agreement, EU principles on climate objectives, A risk assessment allows, depending the causes and effects, relationship between climate hazards and project components. Here you can see the detailed analysis. The probability analysis has as purpose to assess the likelihood that identified climate hazards will occur during the lifetime of a project based on existing statistical data and expert experience. This will be done for the climate hazards for which the project has a high or medium level of vulnerability as identified at the screening stage. Impact analysis analyzes the consequences if the identified climate hazards occurs. The potential impact of a climate variable or climatic risk phenomenon should be assessed according to a scale, whichever is the severity or magnitude. The assessment may be necessary to cover the adaptive capacity of the system in which the project operates. Adaptive capacity is the ability of systems, institutions, humans, and other organisms to adjust to potential damage. Impacts should be assessed on the scale of impact per hazards. For a range of climate hazards, it can be expected that the likelihood and the impacts will change during the lifespan of the project. The project changes in likelihood and impacts should be integrated in the risk assessment. The risk analysis, after assessing the probability of each hazard to occur and the expected impacts, the level of importance of each potential risk can be estimated by combining the two factors. Risk can be traced to a risk matrix to identify the most important potential risk and those for which adaptation measures need to be taken. The assessment of the level of risk or relevance shall be the responsibility of the project beneficiary and the team of experts carrying out the evaluation, taking into account the circumstances of the project. If the risk assessment concludes that there are no significant risks to the project from climate change and that conclusion has been duly justified, there may be no need to undertake further assessment or additional adaptation measures. The risk assessment. Adaptation measures. If the risk assessment concludes that there are significant climate risks for the project, the risk must be managed and reduced to an acceptable level. Settling on the acceptable level of risk depends on the expert team which carries out the assessment and the risk that the project promoter is prepared to accept. For each significant risk identified, specific adaptation measures should be assessed. The preferred measures should be integrated into design and or operation of the project in order to improve resilience to climate change. Adaptation will often involve the adoption of a combination of structural and non-structural measures. Flexible adaptive measures can also be considered, such as monitoring the situation. Assessing the adaptation options can be quantitative or qualitative, depending on the availability of information and other factors. The next step is to integrate the appraised adaptation options into the project at the right development stage, including investment and finance planning, monitoring and response planning, defining roles and responsibilities, organizational arrangements, training, engineering, design. The adaptation measures. Monitoring should be integrated into management process. Ongoing monitoring should be carried out throughout the operational lifetime of the project in order to check the accuracy of the assessment and feed into future assessments and projects, and identify whether specific trigger points or thresholds are likely to be reached. The climate proofing documentation. Documentation on climate proofing is the compilation of analysis of the steps into consolidated documentation. Indicatively, the documentation should include introduction, the description of infrastructure project, and outline how it addresses climate change, including financial information, contact details. The first step is description of the screening and its outcome, including adequate details of the sensitivity, exposure, and vulnerability analysis. You should describe the data sources and climate projection that you used for the assessment. You should describe the project components included in the analysis. You should list the climate hazards taken into account for sensitivity analysis. You should present the sensitivity analysis. You should present the exposure analysis for current and future climate with the scale used in the assessment, and also present the vulnerability analysis and summarize the climate hazards that will require detailed analysis. Step 2, the description of the climate risk assessment, including probability and impact analysis, and identify climate risks. Description of how climate risk identified by relevant adaptation measures are addressed, including how to identify, address, plan, and implement those measures. Description of the assessment and the outcome in relation to periodic monitoring and follow-up adaptation measure plan that are envisaged for the project. Description of the project's consistency with EU and, where appropriate, national, regional, and local climate adaptation strategies and plans. Also, related to climate proofing documentation, it is very important the description of how the verification was carried out and the description of the main findings. Additional relevant information, relevant aspects of compliance with environmental requirements, description of any task related to climate proofing, list of published documents, list of key documents, general information on independent expert verification of the concerned documentation may be required to provide assurance that the climate proofing adheres to the applicable guidance and other requirements. The cost of the independent verification is part of the project development and covered by the project applicant. Here we have the main findings from the second call of project. When preparing the climate proofing, you should have in mind all the provisions from the commission technical sorry. The applicant's guide provisions. And you should consider the following related to climate proofing. The self-assessment screening phase based on evidence, the detailed analysis phase, and the investment decision. This is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. I know there are quite many presentations and detailed enough, but these are very important aspects to be taken in consideration by you when preparing the application forms. If there are no questions related to this, I propose you to go further with presentation about horizontal issues. Our colleague Evdokia Nedelcheva will give you this information. Eva, please.
Thank you, Bogdan. Hello, everybody. 1 minute to start sharing. Is it okay? Do you see the presentation?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, let's start. After a very important and detailed presentation made by my colleague Claudia, let's have a little chill with this info, with this presentation about the horizontal principles of the program. As most of you already know, because as I saw the list of participants to the present event, most of you have already implemented projects within the previous programming periods, and all of you know very well the importance of respecting the program horizontal principles. But let's say one more time which are the principles. They are sustainable development, equal opportunities and non-discrimination, and equality between men and women. You know very well that your project proposal should describe its specific contributions to the horizontal principles, and this shall start with the project preparation, which shall continue also during the project implementation, when you should provide information about how you contribute to these principles during the project implementation, and even after the project ends in the sustainability period, you the same will have to provide information about how your project contribute to the horizontal principles of the program. The principles should be integrated in the project activities, outputs, and results, thus ensuring their fulfillment. And it's important to be mentioned that it's Not enough only for you to include some information about how you will contribute to the principles of the program, but you shall also implement, fulfill all the information you included in the application form. And these issues will be monitored during the project implementation and, as I said, in the sustainability period of the projects. Besides those horizontal principles, you will have to consider also the new European Bauhaus horizontal issue, which shall be also integrated in your project proposals. You shall describe your contribution to the European Union strategy for the Danube region, the EU Green Deal, and the EU Territorial Agenda 2030. All these documents shall be proven and detailed in the application form with clear indication of the priority area to which your project is contributing. Of course, you shall be also in line with the do no significant harm principle, which shall also be described within the application form. Further, the contribution and synergies of your project proposal with the national, regional, and local strategic documents shall be also described within the application form. Where this information should be included in the GEMS system in the electronic application form, there are two sections. Sections C2, project relevance and context, where you should include information about the European Union strategy for the Danube region, about the EU Green Deal, the territorial agenda, the new European Bauhaus principle, and of course about the green procurement. You should fill in the subsection C5, how does the project contribute to wider strategies and policies. In regard to the principles for sustainable development, do no significant harm, equal opportunities and non-discrimination, equality between men and women, you should fill in section C7 project management and respectively subsection C7-6 horizontal principles. In the present slide, you may see the print screen from the GEMS section when the section C2 is could be seen as well as C7. And now let's speak a little bit more in details about each horizontal principle separately. We will start with the sustainable development. This principle has 3 dimensions: environmental sustainability, which means that your project proposal shall ensure that natural environment is used in a way that will preserve resources for future generation. In regard to economic sustainability, it shall be ensured the capacity of future generation to earn an income and allow for economic growth. As regards the social sustainability, the future generation shall have the same or improved access to social resources such as human rights and political stability. Choosing the sustainable way means commitment to preserve and protect the environment from potential harmful effects of human interventions and to enforce the safeguard of social, environmental, and climate benefits. Your project proposal shall specify which possible effects, positive, neutral, or negative, will likely have on the environment by considering, among others, the following aspects: water, soil, air and climate, population and human health, fauna, flora and biodiversity, and others. Which are the greening measures that your projects are encouraged to apply in order to contribute to the sustainable development? First of all, please try to avoid using of paper. In case you really have to do it, please use a recycled one. In regard to publications for external communication purposes, please print only those publications. For electronic publications, please make available a printer-friendly version, which means less colors, more compact text, and less pages. When you need to communicate with the program structures or with your project partners, please use the program electronic system, the email, or other communication tools. Please avoid using of communication by paper. In regard to the materials that you will produce for the events, banners, posters, signs, and other materials, please design them in a way that would allow them to be reused for other events. Please do not make new materials for each new forthcoming event. In addition, when you already organize an event, please assure a dedicated area to the participants to return several materials that can be used in next events, such as badges. We as a program structure already do this. All the badges provided to the participants in our events have been returned to us, and we are using them in the next events. As well, please modernize your equipment. Updating and upgrading your equipment can make a significant difference in how eco-friendly you are. Please also include environmental criteria in procurement procedure. Please use electric or hybrid cars. Use eco-friendly means of transport or go on foot, the best. If possible, all waste produced at the venue of an event is sorted for recycling and sufficient, while marked bins are provided in both participants and staff areas. And many other green measures shall be taken into account. What is mandatory to be known by the potential applicants? The projects that aimed at renovation or modernization of existing buildings or construction of new one must consider the implementation of solutions to improve energy efficiency, as well as the use of renewable sources of electrical thermal energy. In regard to the green procurement, during the project implementation, when you will start to purchase goods, to procure services, please pay attention that those goods are manufactured in a sustainable fashion. They do not contain toxic materials or ozone-depleting substances. The materials can be recycled or are produced from recycled ones, are made from renewable materials, do not make use of excessive packaging, or are designed to be repairable and not throw away. And below you may find some examples of green contracts. These are energy efficient computers, office furniture from sustainable timber, low energy buildings, recycled paper, cleaning services using ecologically sound products, electric, hybrid or low emission vehicles, electricity from renewable energy sources. In regard to the significant harm principle, this principle is to be interpreted within the meaning of Article 17 of the taxonomy regulation. Please pay attention that an activity is considered to do significant harm, climate change adaptation mitigation, if it leads to significant greenhouse gas emissions, to climate change adaptation, if it leads to an increased adverse impact of the current climate and the expected future climate on the activity itself or on people, nature, on assets, to the sustainable use and protection of water and marine resources, if it is detrimental to the good status of or good ecological potential of bodies of water, including surface water and groundwater, to the circular economy, including waste prevention and recycling, if it leads to significant inefficiencies in the use of materials or in the direct or indirect use of natural resources. Pollution prevention and control, if it leads to a significant increase in emissions of pollutants into air, water, or land. And of course, to the protection and restoration of biodiversity and ecosystem, if it is significantly detrimental to the good condition and resilience of ecosystems. Your project proposal shall have to promote solutions that are friendly with the environment, and of course it shall observe the do not significant harm principle. Therefore, please pay attention when developing your application and the technical annexes to consider at least the measures identified in the dedicated Annex A7, do not significant harm, which annex you could find on the program website in the package of documents related to the third call for proposals. Please pay attention that the adaptation measures included in this annex are mandatory for all the projects. Therefore, before designing your projects and the technical annexes, please check the adaptation measures identified for the specific objective and priority under which the project will be submitted, and take them into consideration when developing the application. Further, your project proposal shall observe the recommendations and the monitoring indicators set by the Strategic Environmental Assessment Report. There is also a dedicated annex, also available on the program website, which you shall consult and consider the proposed measures when developing the project. Details regarding the way these measures were considered by the project partners should be included in the description of the work packages and separate activities where it is relevant. These aspects will be assessed by the assessors or followed during the implementation stage. One more important thing, the Bulgarian partners must observe also the recommendations generated by the Bulgarian legislation, and this is also mentioned in the above annex. Therefore, you should consult this annex during preparation of your project proposal. In regard to the new European Bauhaus initiative, as my colleague Cesare said in the first presentation, one of the main frequent errors made by our applicants is to not provide any information about the contribution of the projects to the new European Bauhaus initiative. You know that dedicated separate criterion is included in the quality assessment grid related to contribution of the projects to the new European Bauhaus initiative. So it is very important, it is mandatory for you to provide information about how your project contribute to this initiative. What is the new European Bauhaus initiative? It promotes a new lifestyle where sustainability matches the style, thus accelerating the green transition in various sectors of the economy, such as construction, furniture, fashion, and other areas of our daily life. The aim of this initiative is to provide all citizens with access to goods that are circular and less carbon intensive, that support the regeneration of nature and protect biodiversity. There are three core values of the new European Bauhaus initiative: the sustainability, the aesthetics, and the inclusion. This initiative constitutes one of the main horizontal issues of the program, and therefore that's why your projects can contribute to implement the initiative with a wide range of solutions, from educational and cultural activities to implementation of nature-based solutions, while making the built environment more attractive. In the next slide, there are provided for you several examples about how projects can implement the new European Bauhaus initiative. The first example is techniques, materials, and processes for construction and design. It means that tools that may support design and co-creation for more sustainable building and planning processes should be used. In regard to solutions for the co-evolution of built environment and nature, you should show how the built environment may contribute to the protection of nature and biodiversity. The regenerated urban and rural spaces. It refers to reconversions of abandoned or challenged areas in cities, upgrading of territories and regions in decline. In regard to the preserved and transformed cultural heritage, it means using of models of preservation that enhance access to cultural heritage for all, or reconversion of heritage infrastructure with a high social purpose and a low carbon footprint. There are many other examples of new European Bauhaus principal projects. Therefore, it's very important to explain in your project proposal how it will contribute to implement the initiative. In this slide, you could see some pictures of already implemented activities using, respecting the new European Bauhaus initiatives. These pictures are provided for you, and we hope that you will be inspired for your future projects and you will use these ideas. Additional information on this initiative could be found on the presented links. Then use them, and if you are interested in find more information about this initiative, please follow the links. In regard to the equal opportunities and non-discrimination, as all of you know very well, no one should be discriminated based on sex, racial or ethnic origin, religion or belief, disability, age or sexual orientation. Instead, all the project activities should increase the possibilities of all groups to participate in the activities of the society. Which are the examples of projects respecting this principle? You should ensure projects, goods, services, and infrastructures that are open or provided to the citizens are accessible to all citizens, including those with disabilities. The accessibility to the physical environment, transport, ICT shall be ensured in order to promote the inclusion of disadvantaged groups, including persons with disabilities. Guarantee that all communication products are accessible. Use straightforward language that guarantees cognitive accessibility, and many other examples. In regard to the equality between men and women, the following examples are available. Please take into account findings from gender analysis, gender impact assessment, or stakeholder consultation when planning your project. Take into account gender balanced composition of the project team. Ensure the participation of gender experts in team or groups. When organizing events and conferences, give a good balance between women and men speakers. Give visibility to gender issues and avoid the use of sexist language and stereotypical or discriminatory images. There are some links provided especially for you related to those principles where we were spoke about. This is all from my side, and thank you.
Thank you, Eva. We have two more presentations. GEMS and information about the Joint Electronic Monitoring System, GEMS, the system in which the applications shall be submitted and all the further actions related to evaluation, contracting, monitoring will be developed. And the last one, information about assessment and selection process. If there are no questions, I will invite my colleague Sebastian Simeon to speak about Joint Electronic Monitoring System.
Thank you, Bogdan. Hello, everybody. My name is Sebastian Simeon, and today I will present you some aspects related to the Joint Electronic Monitoring System. as you already know, the joint electronic monitoring system is the only way to submit a project proposal. Let me share my screen. Can you see? Thank you very much. Give me a second. Okay. Thank you. The joint electronic monitoring system, it's one of the most important and helpful tool used by the Interreg 6A ROBG program. It is a web-based application built by Interact program for the benefit of all Interreg programs. It's built on harmonized implementation tools and developed according to the requirements of the EU regulation in place and the needs of Interreg programs. The joint electronic monitoring system ensures the collecting, recording, and storing of the program and project data for the purpose for the monitoring, evaluation, verification, implementation, financial management, and audit. The first step to discover how useful it is to access the displayed link, which will open the window shown and give us the opportunity to create an account. In order to create an account, it is recommended to use the work email account. After these steps have been followed, namely, first step, just press the create new account button. After that, enter the name and the surname. The third step is to choose an email address and a password. After that, to enter the security code, agree to the terms and conditions of the platform, and click the registration button. The system will send a confirmation message with a link to the email address used to create the account, which must be accessed in order to complete the registration. And now the wonderful story begins by discovering the function of the James system. The first interaction with the platform after connecting is with the dashboard section, where you have the opportunity to choose, depending on the specific of your project, one of the three options as described in the applicant's guide. Very important. Please do not postpone the submission process until the last day of the call. Once you have chosen the type of operation for your project, you can start to filling in the section of your application, taking into account the provision of the applicant's guide and the recommendation you can find in the tutorial prepared for you, which can be found on the YouTube channel ROBG program James tutorial, where you will find very useful information in order how to fill in all the section, to upload the requested annex, all of them bearing electronic signature, checking your application. This is this is named the magic button. The submit, check your email contacts detail for further communication during the evaluation process. It is your responsibility. The joint After the steps described previously, you are now ready to press the magic button for submission. But before that, the system has a verification function, namely run pre-submission check, this one here, which will identify if they are inconsistent and will display them to be fixed before the magic button, namely submit project application. From the moment you press the button, your application is submitted and will no longer support any changes. Therefore, please pay attention and do not rush to submit the application until you check it very well. Here here you have a very useful link in order to address in case you have any questions at james@medelepa.ro, helpdesk.bg. The tutorial for the James can be found at the link shown here. The online manual can be also be found at this link shown here. In this regard, I want to thank you, and please pay attention and do not regarding the submission of your project, do not let them until the last day of the call. So thank you one more time, and thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Indeed, the GEMS, it's the first contact of you as applicant with our program. I think, I guess the tutorial prepared by us and uploaded on our channel, it's comprehensive, and you find out there a lot of information regarding the submission and using the GEMS. Still, if you have other questions, as it was presented on the last slide, we have help desk organized at our level in JS, to which we support you in developing the application. Last presentation, it's related to assessment and selection process. Our colleague Tihomira Zhepova-Gospodinova will present this information. Mira, please.
Thank you, Bogdan. Hello, everybody. Today I have the pleasure to present you some information related to the assessment and selection stage. Just a second to start sharing the presentation. Is it visible for everybody? Okay, thank you. First of all, speaking about assessment, it's very important to remind you once again that your project proposal shall be assessed and selected for funding based on standardized procedure which complies with the principle of transparency and equal treatment. The assessment process itself shall start after the closing date of the call, and it includes two phases. Phase 1, it's representing the administrative compliance and eligibility check. Here on this first phase, there are defined some criteria which are with possible answer yes or no, respectively. If your application will receive a no as an answer for one of these criteria, the project proposal will be rejected. On the second phase, phase 2, your project proposals will be evaluated from a qualitative point of view. So phase 2 is representing the quality assessment of your applications, which is including the technical and the financial evaluation, and not on the last place, the state aid incidence assessment. Please pay attention that the verification of the compliance of the project application with eligibility criteria can be made all throughout the evaluation, selection, and contracting process, of course. And you should know that the failure to comply with the established eligibility criteria can lead to the rejection of the application in any stage of the evaluation, selection, and contracting process, not only during the evaluation process. You know, but I should remind you one more time that the selection and the rejection is a responsibility of the monitoring committee of the program, and is based, of course, on the results of the assessment process of your project proposals. Let's stop our attention first on some examples regarding possible rejection reasons. On the first place, of course, the operation, if the operation does not contribute to the program indicators and objectives, it will be rejected, of course. On the second place, if the operation does not have a cross-border character and impact, it will be rejected again. It is a cross-border program, meaning that the cross-border character and impact of your project proposal is absolutely important and obligatory. On the second place, if the operation, if your project proposal are included any elements of state aid, of course, they will be rejected. As another reason for rejection, you can see that if the operation does not observe the rules from the applicant's guide related to one or more of the indicators, it will be rejected again. On the second place, as a rejective reason, we can point that if your operation, if your project proposal does not pass the phase 1, which was the admissibility and eligibility check, it will be automatically rejected. As a next reason, if the operation does not pass the quality assessment threshold, which is 60 points, it will not be selected for financing again. So if your project proposal passed the first phase and reach the second one, but during the second one will receive below the minimum threshold 60 points, as for example 58, it will not be selected for financing. And not on the last place, if the operation does not comply with the recommendations that you will receive from the assessors during the evaluation process in the set deadlines, it will not be selected. So after you will submit your project proposals, the assessors will have their procedural deadlines to verify the documentation package, what you wrote, what you proposed, if everything is provided in accordance with the applicant's guide requirements. Respectively, the assessors could make you recommendations, could ask you for some clarifications, and will provide you a reasonable deadline for providing them. If you will not observe the respective deadlines, or if you will not provide the requested clarifications and documents, your application will not be proposed for selection. This was the bad part. Let's focus now on the aspects related to the selection. And let's turn our attention to the selection steps. In order to be selected for financing your project proposal, first of all, of course, it shall pass to the first phase of evaluation, which was admissibility and eligibility. Then, of course, passing the second phase, which was the technical assessment, and receive at least 60 points, as we said already. To be selected, your project proposal does not automatically mean that it will be contracted. The contracting phase, it's a separate stage. And after your project proposals will be selected, you will be notified. Respectively, you will have a procedural deadline in order to prepare a special set of documents that are needed for the contracting purposes. In case you will not respect the respective deadline, in case you will not provide the requested documents needed for the contracting purposes, even if your project proposal was selected, it could not be contracted. On the last place, it is very important to remind you that there are existing at the program level, of course, any limits of the financial allocation per specific objective, meaning that they will be contracted a total number of projects that were selected, of course, depending on the total value of the money available in the respective for the respective specific objectives. There is existing also a list of reserve for the projects which were selected. And here it's important to explain you and to remind you one more time that if you have more than one project proposal selected for financing, in accordance with the applicant's guide provisions and with the program requirements, you cannot have more than 4 projects under implementation in the same way, meaning that if you have more than 4 projects selected for financing, the 5th one will remain in the list of reserve, waiting for the moment when it will be possible its implementation. Not on the last place, I would like to remind you about the possibility for selection of your projects for financing, but with conditions, meaning that you will receive recommendations after the assessment process that needs, of course, to be considered. And if you will not consider the recommendations given after the assessment process in the respective deadlines, the project could not be contracted even if it was selected. So it will be selected with condition, and depending from the partners if the conditions will be reached or not. Last but not least, the operations that will receive at least 85 points as a final score. You know that the respective operations will go immediately to the monitoring committee for approval. We already clarified that actually the monitoring committee will approve the projects which are proposed for selecting. Here on the last slide of my presentation, you can see the link where you can access the Annex AGA evaluation grids, which are available for you as a potential applicant in order for you to consult it and to find out which are the, first of all, the eliminatory criteria within the admissibility and eligibility stages, as well to find out how the points from the technical and financial assessment will be granted for your project proposals. Thank you for your attention and good luck.
Thank you, Mira. Questions? If you still do not have questions, you still have time to think about it and to address us the questions, because there are other opportunities, other events waiting for these opportunities, let's say. So, just the day after tomorrow, on 6th of June, we will organize an online event regarding the GEMS, how to apply in GEMS. There will be for physical events on 11th of June in Silistra, on 19th of June in Drobeta Turnul Severin, on 2nd of July in Giurgiu, and 3rd of July in Pleven. The locations will be shortly announced. The registration for these events will be shortly launched on our website. An announcement on Facebook will also be posted, and you will be duly informed about this. Each Thursday, starting with 20th of June, we will organize individual supporting sessions online for those of you who intend to address more questions, to develop discussions about the preparing of your future application forms. Just to mention that these online sessions will be no longer than 40 minutes, and each organization may participate once per period at such meetings, in order to give the time and opportunity for all the potential applicants to ask and to participate at such meetings. Finally, these physical events in Silistra, Pleven, Giurgiu, and Drobeta Turnul Severin will consist in one session of presentation, questions and answers, and another session of partner search, searching for a partner, if the case. Coming back to the future events, on 8th of July, we will organize partner search forum online in order to let you find a partner if the case. And the last event will be organized online on 30 of August. Will be a general session with questions and answers. Don't forget about help desk. the email address. Sebastian, please share the last slide with help desk at email address of help desk. Thank you. This help desk underline robg @cbc.ro. It's the email address for help desk. You may address here. All the answers will be also posted on the website. And what's Sebastian, please share the website also with not this the website, yes. Here, pune-l în engleză, te rog. Yes, so here on the mai sus, puțin. Mai. Aici. Here on the first page, in this section funding, you may find it here Q&A. Nu se mai vede, Sebastian. Q&A. Yeah. Here is the updated list of questions and answers provided through help desk. This one. Okay. So no, if there are no questions, I would like to thank you for your presence, for your time. I would like to thank you for your interest shown in our program, and hopefully there will be good projects, good ideas of actions, of activities in order to improve the education in our eligible area, and in order to have to contract fast the projects and to start the implementation. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye.